Welcome to Fundraising Leaders with Drew, where we embark upon a journey to discover the heart and soul of nonprofit fundraising and decode the strategies that lead to fundraising success. I'm your host, Drew Clancy, and I'm grateful to be joined today by President Robert Wagner, the 14th president of Idaho State University. President Wagner took office in January of 2024 after previously serving as Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Utah State University. As a sought-after thought leader on innovation in higher education, President Wagner will be focused on launching Idaho State University's first comprehensive capital campaign in more than 25 years. Let's jump right in with President Robert Wagner. Well, thank you again, Robert, for being on the podcast, and really looking forward to our conversation today. Let's start with just a general question. You have been in your role now since the first, or since January. So as we record this on November 1st, about 10 months now. And how do you see your role as president of Idaho State? How do you see, shaping the overall fundraising strategy and vision of the university?
Sure. Thank you, Drew. I am very excited to be here at Idaho State. It's a fantastic institution. It'll be celebrating 125 years in 2026, and a lot of history, a lot of legacy here at the institution, the way it serves the state of Idaho, Southeast Idaho in particular. It's been a real pleasure. I've learned a lot in these last 10 months. It's been an incredible experience. When I came on board, one of the things that I learned, and I actually learned about it as I was doing my research in lead up to the search process, and then it was confirmed when I was here. It has been several years since the university has embarked and engaged in a comprehensive fundraising campaign. About 25 years to be exact. In fact, the last time they did it was for their 100-year anniversary. So as a state institution, we continue to be very, very reliant upon public funds, the Idaho State legislature, but as many public institutions across the country, that funding is from year to year. Sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. We have been very fortunate here in the state of Idaho to have good support, but nonetheless, the need for philanthropy is increasingly important. And even here as a public institution, it's increasingly important to be able to really address the funding needs that we have. Here in the state of Idaho, for example, the state does fund infrastructure, but that varies from year to year, and it's not a given, it's not a guarantee. And so as I came in and began to examine and look at the needs of the institution itself, one thing that stood out very clearly is that there are tremendous infrastructure needs. 124-year-old institution, a lot of building needs. We have beautiful buildings. We have a beautiful campus here in Pocatello with other campuses across the estate, but real infrastructure needs with aged buildings and infrastructure utilities. And so really you can't approach those needs and just think in the back of your mind, oh, the state's going to swoop in and take care of it, and they'll give us all of the funds that we need. I would love to be able to think that, but that's not the reality. That's not the case. So having a good fundraising philanthropic strategy is critical to be able to lay out what our plans are now. I was very pleased to learn when I started in January, the institution had already launched a master planning process, and that's fantastic. That is now nearing completion. Will be done this next month. That really sets our map, if you will, our direction for filling infrastructure needs. As we look at those significant needs, we know that, again, we'll ask for state support and state help where we can. We might use bonding capacity as a public institution that we have, but we really are not going to be able to meet those needs without philanthropic support, major and significant philanthropic support. So we look at just our infrastructure needs, and it's important that we come up with that philanthropic plan, whether it's a comprehensive campaign, working with our foundation board, that's critical. Then outside of infrastructure needs, you just look at keeping the importance of keeping higher education affordable, which means we need to be thinking about things like student scholarships. We need to be finding ways to endow professorships to control our operating costs. So all of those have been on my mind as I've been looking at the needs of Idaho State. And I've coalesced around, of course, the idea that we need to launch a comprehensive campaign. We need to be very, very specific. We need to be very deliberate in our philanthropic efforts going forward to plan out what those needs are, identify what those needs are, because frankly, and I'm sure we'll get to this, that's how we engage with our alumni. That's how we engage with potential donors, is explaining to them what their impact is going to be and how positive their impact is going to be to this institution.
Love that. You're here. As you think about launching this big comprehensive campaign, as you said, the first one in potentially 25 years, what are the steps you're going through? How are you approaching this? What are the kind of the key things you want to have in place as you get ready to move forward?
Well, sure. Well, first of all, it's making sure that I have the right people in place, because I am, my background is not in advancement. I've done some philanthropic work and various administrative responsibilities that I have done, but I will admit and disclose that's not my professional background. So
Sure.
First and foremost, it's getting the right people on the bus and making sure they're in the right seats. And so it's personnel, and it's making sure that we have the human resources that we need, the expertise, the ability to be able to plan and then launch a successful campaign, follow best practices within the advancement and philanthropic world to be able to do the things that we need to do. So first and foremost, it's making sure we have the right people.
Right.
And that's critical, not just the right people, but we have enough people. Because campaigns, comprehensive campaigns, take a massive amount of effort, of organizational effort. That's not something that you can't say we're going to do a comprehensive campaign and then do it small.
Right. Right.
You have to do it big, and you set goals. So first and foremost, it's getting the right people on board, making sure they're sitting in the right seats on the bus. A couple other things that are critical. It's making sure that we have the right digital infrastructure in place. We
Sure.
have the right, we have the appropriate enterprise systems in place so that we can organize, so that we can track, so that we can follow our progress. So we're going to need to make those we are going to need to make those investments. Idaho State University has made investments the last several years to really increase the sophistication in ways that they do advancement work and alumni engagement. But we'll have to do more. We'll have to invest in more of that digital infrastructure and those enterprise solutions. Second is making sure we have the non-HR infrastructure in place. The third, I would say, is we have to activate our alumni. And that's something that the institution has worked hard at the last few years, but we have a long ways to go.
Sure.
We have great alumni here attached to our campuses in our communities here in Southeast Idaho, but we have an incredible alumni base across the state and across the nation. And we need to ignite that base. It has been some time since the institution has deliberately and comprehensively engaged with alumni. And we need to do that. And so we're actually starting that right now. I'm actually using me being a new president to give good excuses to hold alumni events, both
Sure.
across the state of Idaho as well as out of state. It's a great reason. In my mind, the reason is not about me. The reason is to engage those alumni, to
Sure.
get them involved and to let them know we're coming to you and we're engaging with you, and we want you to be engaged back, and we want you to be involved. So we're going to many locations. We have gone this fall. We'll continue to go the remainder of fall into spring, into winter and spring. Some of these places we've not gone to engage alumni before. Some it's been many years,
Sure.
and so it's slow. It's going to take time. I keep reminding my team when they're worried that the numbers might not be there. My response is, right now it's quality, not quantity. And we need to build that base. We need to let our alumni know that we're serious when we say we're coming to them, when we say we're reaching out, that we want to engage. It might take 2 or 3 times to convince them that we mean it. And you know what? We own that. We should own that as an institution and realize that that is what it's going to take. So we have a lot of work to do with our alumni in order to be able to launch a comprehensive campaign, be able to realize that, we're going to really need to ignite that army of alumni to get involved and to help us. So that's absolutely critical. So all 3 of those things we're working on right now. We're getting the right people. We're putting them in the right seats. We're building our digital infrastructure and enterprise solutions. And we're starting to engage with alumni. My new president tour, it's called Bold Path Forward. And the idea is of thinking of the future of moving ahead. We're using that Bold Path Forward brand right now to be able to start that alumni engagement, and eventually that'll evolve and change into a campaign itself. So those are the three areas that are really important that we're actually working on now, that will continue through 2025 as we get to 2026, when we expect to be able to launch both the anniversary as well as the starting of a campaign, because of course there's a silent phase where a lot of work is done before you publicly launch. So as we
Sure.
move into 2026, we'll launch the anniversary that will eventually evolve into the campaign.
Love that. Love that. The first kind of thing you mentioned you're going to focus on is personnel. I know you've recently brought on, or in the process of bringing on, a new vice president of development or advancement. Talk a little bit about that process. How did you approach that? What were some of the key things you were looking for from prospective candidates? Give us a little bit of insight into that process.
Sure. Well, I'm very, very excited about the new vice president that we have coming. Name is Stephanie Smith. She's coming from Northern Arizona. Incredibly talented, great background, a fantastic experience. So the first answer to your question is it starts with the job description. For us,
Right.
it was fun. It was fundamental to make sure that that job description had what we needed at this time going forward. First and foremost, of course, we needed someone who has experience with a comprehensive campaign,
Sure.
with organizing it, then with implementing it and leading it. So wanting to make sure that that had bright lights flashing around it in that job description, to emphasize that, to make sure that potential candidates knew we needed that was critically important, because there are tremendous professionals out there within the advancement world. Some have had comprehensive campaign experience, some have not. That takes a special skill, a special organizing skill, leadership skills. So first and foremost, it was making sure that that job description is accurate with leading that. I would say that along with that, it was looking for a leader of people. It was incredibly important that I could find someone who could inspire people, could inspire teams. Campaigns and the work that Idaho State University needs to do going forward the next several years is going to take a team effort. It's going to take someone who can rally, someone who can get people motivated and really really engaged. We will do our best to invest in the human resources that we need. But the bottom line is we're a public institution and we have limits and we have challenges. So we're going to be expecting 100% from our people. We just are. And we have great people, but that's going to take a leader to inspire them, to help engage them and really pull that 100% out of them. So someone who inspires, someone who builds teams and builds a team in environment where people feel supported, where people feel welcome, that they have a place, that they feel that the institution is worth fighting for and working for, that they're inspired to be able to do that. So that's critical. It's a comprehensive campaign experience, a leader of people, and then third, and it's kind of similar to the first, and that's a leader of things, a leader. So public policy is my my faculty background.
Sure.
Most public policies fail, and sorry, it's the political scientist in me. Most public policies fail at the implementation stage. They don't fail at the ID stage. They don't fail at the formulation stage. They fail at implementation. So what I need is a leader of things too, who can take people and take things and then lead and implement the plans that we put in place. So those are some of the skills that we were looking for. I'm confident that we found that person, and we are going to go boldly forward.
Love that. Love that. So good. Talking a little bit about your background, what do you see as the key elements of a compelling case for the support of higher education? How do you think about that?
Sure. Well, first of all, as a public higher education institution, we need to be very effective at telling our story. To me, it all comes back to impact. We need to be able to talk about and demonstrate impact. And impact comes in a lot of different ways. Impact could be at the individual level, where we talk about our students who graduate and then go out and get jobs, or go out and they receive that advancement that they're looking for, whether it's personal development or whether it's a career, employment, whatever it means. So impact at the individual level, making sure that we're talking about that we're highlighting that we can demonstrate that. The second is impact at the institutional level. What impact are we having within the communities where we are located? Here in Pocatello, this is our main campus. How are we impacting this community? What are we doing to serve the community? What are we doing to impact local economic development at our other campuses across the state, in Idaho Falls, Twin Falls, in Meridian, just outside of Boise? What's our institutional impact, and how can we demonstrate that? How can we measure it? How can we show it? Ultimately, the logic of impact works. When I go to the Idaho State Legislature, I need to be able to defend our contributions to the state. Well, that comes by way of impact. Well, when we go to donors and alumni, and we're asking them to support Idaho State University, we need to be able to show them potentially what their support is going to do and what impact it's going to make. So I don't know if I can say the word impact anymore, but it's impact, and both at an institutional level and clear right down to the student level, the impact that we are making. Because for some of our alumni and donors, they're going to want to support and give at that individual student impact. They're going to want to see what their support does for individual students. They're going to want to hear those stories. And that's going to inspire them, and that's going to help justify the giving and the contributions that they are making. For others, that impact is going to be institutional. It's going to be larger.
Sure.
It could be infrastructure. And they're going to want to see what that infrastructure, that impact that infrastructure can make, not only to our institution, but to the communities that we serve. So once again, impact, impact, impact.
Love that. Love that. How about for you yourself, what aspects of fundraising do you find most rewarding? Are there things you really naturally enjoy doing, or maybe some things you don't enjoy quite as much? How do you see that?
Sure. Well, first of all, the thing that I enjoy the most, the thing that I'm enjoying right now is engaging with people.
Yeah.
It's getting out, and that's a lot of what a president does. Is a lot of external work. It's representing the institution. I am a collaborator. I'm a partner. I believe very, very strongly that in 2024, for a public research institution like Idaho State University, we can't live in a bubble. We can't wall ourselves off and say, we'll be fine, just leave us alone. We can't do that. In order to succeed, we have to engage. We have to engage with our communities. We have to engage with industry. We have to engage with alumni. That starts with me. If I'm not demonstrating that, if I'm not showing that as an example, I can't expect the institution to do that. So I take that responsibility very, very seriously when I go out and meet with individuals, when I meet with community, state, federal leaders, when I engage with individual families and students, or high school students and recruits, or non-traditional students, or alumni. It's all about engagement and learning how to talk about the institution, and again, talk about impact. But that's the thing that I enjoy the most, is that engagement. Now,
Sure.
There are a lot of people that will say that moment when you have to ask for funds, that's the hardest part. And I will say that that doesn't come easy to me. That's not natural. But I'll tell you, it's a whole lot easier when you have built that relationship, when you have engaged, when they've seen that you are willing to reach out to them, you're willing to talk about impact and engage them and find common ground and find common interests that they have. So what am I doing and what do I enjoy? It's talking with people. It's engaging and reaching out. What do I then need to follow that up with? It's that action. It's following it up with ways that they can support the institution. And that tends to be, for many of us, the hard part. But again, by the time you get there, you should have already built that strong enough base, friendship, relationships, and talking about impact and potential impact, that it's a very natural next step.
Love that. Hear, hear. Do you, or how do you, let's say you're going to sit down with a prospective major donor. How do you prepare for that meeting? Are there certain steps you go through?
Sure. First, I'd love to get as much information about that individual as I can, learn about their background and experience, and learn what their interests are. Now, if I can find that information out beforehand, that's great. I'm going to go there and hear it from them personally, though. That's just my own style.
Sure.
Is whether I know it or not, I'm still going to ask them because I want to get them talking about themselves. As I've been doing these alumni tours, the first question that I ask those alum that come, and some of them are coming to the events for the first time. It's been 25 or 30 years since they've been at Idaho State. They're coming for the first time. The first question I ask after I thank them is, tell me about your Idaho State experience. And they love that. They love to talk about that. I hear about what it was like to live in the dorms. I hear about what it was like to go to the football games, that 1981 national championship that this institution still talks about. I hear those things. That they're dying to talk about those things because they remember that. And boy, when they get talking about their experience, and they get talking about, and they relive their ISU experiences, it's very, very natural to then talk about, well, let's talk about how we can keep that energy going, how we can keep Idaho State University moving forward so others can have that great experience that you are having. So that's literally the fun part for me, is when I ask that question and they just get so animated, and then they talk, and sometimes the answer is, oh, you don't want to hear about this, and I'm like, no, I do. And I hear all sorts of really fun things and great stories, but you can just see in their minds the connections that are reemerging between them and the institution, that maybe had gone a little stale, had gone a little cold for a time, but boy, those connections are happening again and they're firing again. And that's exactly what we want. We want Idaho State University to be back alive in their minds.
Love that. How do you balance your responsibilities as a fundraiser with your other responsibilities as president of the university?
Sure, that's a great question too. And that's something I'll admit, I'm 10 months into this. I've been doing higher ed administration for a long time, served in a lot of different administrative roles at institutions. This is my first time as president. So I am by no means an expert, but there are things that I've learned previously as well as the last 10 months. Number one is have great people around you. Who take on those administrative responsibilities, and know that I don't have to lead student affairs, I don't have to lead advancement, I don't have to lead academic affairs, I don't have to lead our research enterprise, I don't have to lead our operations. I have to be aware of those things, and I have to have a say, and I have to be involved, but I need to have good leaders around me who lead those areas. And frankly, they're the professionals, and they're they are the subject matter experts when it comes to those areas. So for me,
Sure.
being new coming in, I have to gain faith and confidence in the team that's here, and I have been. And I work with amazing people who are those subject matter experts who care about what they do. So part of that balance is, as I look at being out and engaging externally, is making sure that I have good people, because I have to make sure the home fires stay burning here. I have to
Sure.
make sure these fires don't go out, that our faculty are being engaged, that they're feeling a part of what the institution's doing, that our staff are being engaged, that our students are, that we're taking care of our people. What that means is, when I'm here on campus, I'm present. I just don't want to be in this office. I want to be around. My office schedules me wandering time. It's a great thing to see on my calendar, because I do just that. I wander, and usually fun and exciting things happen. So first and foremost, it's having great people around who can carry those loads and are subject matter experts who know those areas, those parts of the institution very, very well, and can lead. The second is being present. When I'm here, I'm here. When I'm here, I'm not stuck in a dark office, a corner, just working on emails or doing things. When I'm here, I'm engaged. I'm engaged with the internal institution. I'm engaged with our institutional community. It's great to be engaged with alumni, with our external community, with industry. When I'm here, I need to be engaged with the institutional community, and that's critical. That's really important, and that's things that presidents do. Whether it's wandering around and talking with students and stopping them on the path, or wandering into buildings I've never been to before and exploring and taking selfies and posting it on Instagram, to going to the Idaho State Symphony tomorrow night because it celebrates our arts and the great contributions the creative arts makes to our community, to a women's basketball game that I'm going to tonight to celebrate our fantastic student athletes. So when I'm here, I'm present with my institutional community.
Love that. Here's a question for you. In your first year, what percentage of your time do you think goes towards fundraising or has gone towards fundraising?
It will all depend on how you define fundraising. Because you can define it a number of different ways. If you define fundraising, of course, it starts with engagement. So
Sure.
if you define fundraising with engagement, then I would say this first 10 months, that probably 60 to 70% of my time has been based on engagement
Here, here.
and external engagement. Now I had the pleasure or not, depending on how you refer to it. My first day on the job was in Boise at the state legislature.
Right.
That was my first day. So of course, the first 3.5 months of my job, the legislative session was in, and I was going back and forth, and I was very engaged, and I was there. I would put that in the same category. A little different fundraising, but it is still engagement. So right from the start, being involved with the state legislature, to then go through the end of the semester, go into the summer, which frees me up a little bit more to be external and to engage, into fall, where I find myself kind of gravitating back towards the institution at the start of my first fall semester, engaging with faculty and staff and doing listening sessions and things that all new presidents do. But then at the same time, I've got these alumni events and out engaging and trying to build a foundation. So I'd say about 60%, but it's been episodic depending on really the responsibilities. I've watched presidents do that for many, many years. And now I'm experiencing it.
Here, here. Here, here. A couple more questions. Looking at the overall fundraising and thinking about it, what do you see as your biggest challenges? And then what do you see as your biggest opportunities?
Sure. I think for us, the biggest challenge right now is going to be going back to the idea of preparation and getting ready. We need the right infrastructure. We need the human resources, the digital resources. We need those in place. That's an investment. Now, there's an ROI there, a significant ROI.
Sure.
But it's an investment. So it's building the team, it's preparing the team, it's making sure the team has the tools that they need. That is absolutely really critical right now. That's a challenge. It's a challenge for a public institution. I'll be very honest. I inherited a budget deficit when I came. Now, credit to my predecessor, they recognized that about a year and a half earlier and took significant steps to begin to fill that budget deficit. And I give he and the administration credit for doing an incredible job. But what that means too is, I started at a time where resources were considered scarce.
Sure.
And so how do you make those really difficult decisions to say, we're going to invest in these areas? As we're now beginning to fill that deficit, I'm helping the institution change from a mindset of have not, because that's what happens when you say you have a budget deficit, is
Sure.
It's dark and gloomy and everybody feels bad and everybody's just mad because there's nothing and we're suffering, to how do you change? And you can only take that so far. So how do you begin to shift that mindset to reorient people to say, yes, we're not going back to business as usual. We're going to look ahead, but we're going to look for opportunities, and we're going to look for ways to make investments that will bring positive returns to this institution. For us at Idaho State, that's called opportunity aligned resourcing, or OR. And with that concept of that ship that's going forward, the idea that, we're not going back to business as usual, where we're just going to fill positions, for example, because that's what we've always done. We're going to think about it and be deliberate and say, is that a position that we need? Is that the right position? Is the job description right? Whether it's staff or whether it's or whether it's faculty, we're going to be very deliberate. Oh, the same thing is with infrastructure too. Where are we going to invest the funds that we have that are going to bring the greatest returns? That's a sustainable model. So that's something too in terms of philanthropy and advancement work that we are doing. That's why we're going to invest in that the human resources and the physical infrastructure that we need, because that's going to bring us a return as an institution. And frankly, we need that return because, like I said, we're becoming less and less dependent on significant state resources to be able to do that. We can't put it all on the backs of students and tuition. We need to keep our educational experience affordable for our students. So that means we need philanthropy. That means we need advancement. So it's going in and it's realizing that there's an opportunity that we're going to invest in because we believe we are going to get a return back. So I'm not sure if that answered your question, but that's really what we're doing, and we're in the midst of right now is really making those investments. And frankly, as a president, it's on me to make that case.
Hear, hear. Hear, hear. Last question. Talked a little bit about the new vice president coming on board. The need to engage alumni. You mentioned the legislature, obviously, is a public institution. That's a key stakeholder. What do you see as kind of the other key stakeholders? Maybe your board or community organizations as you put together this plan to launch a big comprehensive campaign?
Sure. And so in the state of Idaho, our governance structure is we have a state board of education. That state board, it's fairly unique. There are only a couple other states where this state board actually governs K through 16.
Ah.
So it's both public ed and higher ed. One board, one state board does K through 16. Now, the other thing that's fairly unique is that at Idaho State University, the four-year public institutions in the state, we do not have boards of trustees. Our boards of trustees, that's the state board. The state
Sure.
board serves as our board of trustees. So not only is it a state governing board, but it's an institutional governing board as well. And I report to the state board. With that's on the governance side, the policy side, the budget side, the administrative side. On the advancement and philanthropy side, we do have a foundation.
Ah.
So we have the Idaho State University Foundation. We have a foundation board made up of individuals who are incredibly engaged with this institution, who are committed to it and work very, very hard. That is the body, along with our alumni board. Those are the two bodies that we will work very, very closely with as we move towards a comprehensive campaign, as we move towards engaging, increasing our capacity with our alumni and with advancement philanthropy. So that foundation board, that alumni board will become absolutely critical, and we need to work very closely together to make sure that we are aligned as we're developing the plans and then implementing the plans. So those are the main boards. I'm very, very pleased that we have a great foundation board with a rich history of contributions by way of effort to the institution itself. And these are real Idaho State University Bengals that love this institution, are going to work hard. Now, it's going to be critical that we grow that alumni board and that foundation board comprehensively to be able to represent what we're doing as we're engaging with alumni across the country too. And I'll work very, very closely with the foundation and the alumni boards to do that also.
Awesome. Fabulous. Thank you so much, President Wagner. I appreciate your time today, all of your insights and observations, and just thank you again for being part of Fundraising Leaders with Drew.
Absolutely. It's been my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.